We know that mastering any creative skill can sometimes feel like a Herculean feat. The long nights scrolling, going through archives and tutorials, going through the 10,000 hours that it's supposed to take for you to feel some sort of confidence in your craft. And then it's a whole other challenge to try and combine what some would say are two polar opposite mediums in music and 3D art, mixing them together to form a new world filled with 3D colors and sounds. And the creator of that amazing world is this week's guest, ROHO. We sat down and talked about everything from his straightforward creative process to our feelings on everything happening with music and AI, and played a game that helped to really illustrate how important time is to him. But before we get into the amazing conversation, I would love if you liked and subscribed to stay up to date with everything Procrastination Radio. And since you did that, and I can see you did it, I heard it, I got the notification, I'm trusting you on that. I'm watching you. Hey, I'm watching you. Hey, hit the subscribe. Thank you. You can sit back, relax, as we aim to be your partner in combating procrastination. This is ROHO and Conversation, only on Procrastination Radio Show with me, iancomplex. All right. Hello, everyone. We are back with another episode of the Procrastination Radio Show. I'm your host, iancomplex, here for another amazing creative conversation with another equally amazing creative. Today is a special day. I hope y'all necks are on right, because when you hear this man's drums, they're gonna need some adjustment. You know, I hope your eyes are dialed in, because the visuals are a little too strong sometimes. You know, it's your favorite creator of 3D colors and sounds. Bro, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing well, bro. Thank you for having me on. Pleasure to be here.
Of course, yeah. I'm very excited to get in this conversation, to kind of nerd out on a lot of these things. First off, congratulations on your recent drop of your project, man. How does it feel to have muscle memory out in the world right now?
Well, thank you, bro. It's cathartic for sure. I've been working on that music for a long time. Managed to avoid the typical artist plague of falling out of love with the body of work. You know, I paced myself in the way I made it and listened to it so I could still appreciate it once it dropped. And the reception so far has been awesome. I can't complain. I'm happy to hear all the different ways that people are listening to my music, what they're letting it be the soundtrack for. So I'm happy to have it out there. I think it represents my current sound pretty well.
That's amazing, man. I think outside of the music being incredible, I think the way that you have a combination of your visual art and your music, it just feels like it's one thing. Of course, coming from you, it is just your expression. And I wonder, I guess, like, where in your journey did that become so like tight knit? Because it kind of feels like akin to like a movie, like the process. I was wondering, like, what comes first? Is it the visual or the music?
Yeah, I get that question a lot.
Yeah.
And I think part of the beauty of it for me right now is that there is no definitive first. It
Mm.
really just depends on which one, which aspect catches my eye or my ear first. But I basically been involved with music and some form of visual art for my whole life.
Yeah.
Kind of traveled my way through a lot of the different visual mediums. My brother, he gave me my first camera when I was young. So that got me into photography. And then I stuck with that for a few years, ventured into videography a little bit. Then I ended up going to college in Western Massachusetts, which is one of the least inspiring places on earth. So I put the camera down because it wasn't, it was no longer a place that I really wanted to explore like that. And then that kind of drove me towards the computer, where I taught myself graphic design. Stuck with that for a few years, and eventually, after making still designs for long enough, it was like, all right, how do I learn to make these move?
Yeah.
And then that sort of led me in the path of animation. My girlfriend, the real MVP, her name's Rachna, she's a super talented photographer. She introduced me to Blender during my senior year of college. And that was, to me, that was like, it was like the final boss. I could make everything I wanted to make in that software. You could build worlds. And it just felt like kind of the like ultimate glue towards all the different types of things I wanted to make. And I've been stuck there ever since. It's been about 6 years now that I've been using the program. And the whole time I was making music, from piano lessons to lessons in high school to starting to produce in the beginning of college. And I think for probably like 80% of that time, I never considered crossing the two and pairing them until I started to kind of close the gap between like, I would say once I was able to make visuals that felt closer to what I would imagine, that's when the music started making more sense. Because to me, that requires like a whole different type of composition, which is a lot like to me, it's a lot harder to create something that's visually compelling than it is to make something that sounds good. So that was always the side of my brain that had to catch up. And then once I reached a certain point, I felt like I could translate what I was feeling from the music into something you could see, and vice versa. And I've been stuck there since. And it's really fulfilling. Like there was a point in time at which I thought I should choose one and really
Mm,
lock in on that.
mm-hmm.
But the longer that I didn't, the more I was seeing for myself and from other people that this is like a special combo that I need to hold
Yeah,
on to.
yeah. It feels special. It looks really unique as well. I think that's really interesting what you said about, kind of everything fusing into one, and that being the expression. I think from like a technical perspective, what does that look like on like the export? Like how how do you, like, I guess, submit the project then, like, okay, I got to batch all these visuals together? Is that also like a process that happens in tandem?
Yeah, so I think again, like one of the things that really keeps this fun for me is how little of a process I have and
Mm,
how much of a process I have once I decide what I'm gonna do.
yeah,
Like with muscle memory, for example, honestly, what spurred me to making the project was coming up with the title first. I
gotcha.
feel like I'm the type of person who needs to have like that highest level stamp on the creative board, if you will, and then
Yeah, yeah,
everything under that kind of makes sense. And muscle memory, it stemmed from, I'm sure we'll talk about this a little more later, but it
yeah.
stemmed from the idea that I was relying on my hands and the things that felt natural to play and create. And so once I set that tone for the project, I started building out the beats. And then I would say as I was making the project, I would have ideas for visuals, or certain things would stand out to me. But it wasn't until I finished the full project that I
Mm,
started going back in and kind of like assigning visual identities to different songs. When I came up with the cover, which is like a bench press with speakers on it,
yeah.
that was to me the sort of raw feel that I wanted attached to this whole project.
Yeah, man. I think the cover is such a striking image, and like you said, this it's that kind of direct translation to how you were feeling. And I wonder for you, since you also do or have worked with other creatives on not only artwork, but just like visuals and creating companion pieces for their projects. How does that process work? You said you didn't want to separate it at one point, but in those instances, you kind of do have to put one piece over here and do that. So how does that kind of feel?
Right. So I mean, I think that to me is it's extremely fun to be working with music I love that I didn't
Yeah,
make and that
yeah,
I don't have any responsibility for. Because then I feel like I'm putting all my CPU towards
yeah,
like finding out what this needs to look like.
yeah,
And I usually try to keep it. I try to strike a balance between what the artist themselves is seeing for their song and
yeah,
what I see. And I feel like at this point, I've created so much work out in the open that people have a decent understanding of my visual language. So
right.
I'm blessed to be working with a lot of people who will put that almost like that full trust in me, and
Gotcha.
they'll lean into what I'm seeing for their song. And that's really fun to me because it really like depending on what the song is, certain
Yeah,
things might jump out and speak to me in a very obvious way, whether that's like rhythmically or texturally, or if there's lyrics in the song, things as simple as that. But I find it really fun to approach a project, even if I'm only responsible for one side of the audio or the visual,
yeah.
just because it frees up all that space, to just think of an even broader vision.
Yeah, man. I am such like a fan of the combination of your solo work and the things you were featured on. I think outside of just the work that you put into the rhythm in your music and the pockets that you hit is sometimes it just catches you off guard Because sometimes it'll be a song you be in the middle of it, and it's like, hey, hold on a second, let me kind of think about what's going
Yeah,
on here, and then you kind of like, okay, I got to run it back. Then the next one starts, and you're like, okay, I don't even have time to think about this. We gotta run the whole thing back, but
too late.
you just gotta let it go. Just gotta let it go. But
Right.
I guess for you, is there a part that maybe feels, or even a better question is like, what do you like to hear people talk about your music, like what feels good to kind of receive back?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think over the past few years, especially, I've sort of learned that my favorite thing to hear is people complimenting the bounce of the
Yeah,
party,
yeah, yeah.
because that's not only is that my favorite part of making beats, is establishing that, but I think that's one of the most like intangible aspects of
Hmm.
making music, the feeling.
Hmm.
Like that specific word I always love to hear, especially because I play almost all my drums by hand, when I'm not
Crazy.
chopping certain
It's
styles or using
crazy.
breaks
Yeah,
from the homies. And
yeah.
so feeling is everything, especially since I've never been a drummer, never trained
Mm,
on the drums. So it quite literally is feeling like, at the tips of your hands. And
yeah,
when when that message gets across to the listener, that's probably the most rewarding aspect for me.
that's crazy.
Like I like the stank face, like the grossed out face, to me is the highest praise. You should look disgusted.
Bro, I was driving in my car and I was like, "What is? Whoa, hold on now.
Yeah,
What are we doing here, bro?" I was like, it's amazing to, I think, like I said, find musicians who, especially when they are instrumentals, like communicate so much. And then the double punch with you is that you can go to your page and then like, oh no, this is exactly what I was visualizing when I was listening to this project. And I think it is crazy. Like the, I this might be a controversial take. I think the previous pianists, they be kind of out drumming some of the trained drummers when it comes to the pads. I feel like there's a different understanding of where things are going.
right,
It's
right.
close.
Yeah, I'll happily start that beef for no reason,
Yeah,
but I think you're right. It's just a dexterity thing, and
100%.
the funny thing is, like, I myself, and I'm sure anyone else who likes finger drumming, we look at drummers like they're aliens
Yeah,
because using every limb of your body at the same time, and then to do new things and improvise on top of that is just
yeah,
like that's a peak peak
yeah,
performance.
yeah,
So I have a lot of respect for people who could do that. And then I found, even my friends who are nice on the drums, to me, what I do and the way that I program my drums is like a little alien to them. So I
yeah.
think
Right.
it's cool to find the art in all the methods, but yeah, there might be something there for the pianist on the
You
pad.
know, hey, yeah, get at me. Let's start a poll. We gonna
Yeah, I
figure
don't
something out.
exactly. I don't make the rules.
Yeah, yeah, man. I think your work is just it's so specific, and I feel like when you were kind of arriving to your style and into your space that you want to kind of take up in the wider music scene, what kind of was the reaction then? Like I know that you said you came from a really specific place where it wasn't too much going on.
Yep.
So at that point, was the reaction kind of similar to the drum thing, where it's like, okay, this is a little alien, don't know how to approach this, or
Hmm.
were you kind of met with some kind of love and support from jump?
I think so. Like realistically, I've been consistently creating some form of work since high school,
Got you.
and I think a lot of the people I was surrounded with at the time, they definitely they saw like the fun in it, and
Yeah,
that's really what it was. Looking back, it was
yeah,
nothing groundbreaking. It was fun, and I think
yeah,
they respected the creativity. And it wasn't until I got into college where I think people noticed like how obsessed with it I was,
mm,
that they started to show a little more love for the way I was beginning to weave things together. And
yeah,
then once I left college and I started putting out more cohesive work and graduating the types of people that I was working with, I feel like it's been a lot of love from people all over the place, people I respect, people I have known since I started doing this stuff, and to me, just hearing that either side of what I do, hearing from people that this is something they haven't seen before or heard
yeah,
before, and just that general feeling of surprise, like that's
Yeah.
the battery in my back for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to introduce people to new feelings,
Yeah.
and new
What
sights and sounds.
what is that process for you though, like on the inspiration side, like when you do take a minute to kind of absorb sounds and visuals, like what are you looking to, and like where are you trying to find that out?
I think what I am realizing now, that I was operating the same way when I was younger, but I didn't really think about it, is that
Yeah.
my biggest inspirations definitely come from real things,
Mm.
and that's a really, I know, broad way to describe it, but
Yeah.
real things, nature specifically,
Mm.
just the randomness of nature and how difficult that is to replicate, but how it's, it's such a unique thing. That's inspired a lot of my work, and that's kind of why, even though a lot of the visuals that I create are surreal and they're things you would never see in real life, they're made up of familiar objects. And what I like to play with is scale, and speed and time and gravity and all those things. So I think my biggest inspirations, they definitely come from just what I'm surrounded by, and I've over time learned to be inspired by any of my surroundings. Like, I no longer need to go and seek inspiration. I
Yeah.
think that's where a lot of artists can find themselves stuck.
Yeah.
Um, and I started just looking for it in pockets or
Yeah.
moments throughout the day, anywhere that I'm at, and it honestly makes life a lot more fun.
Yeah. Yeah. To have
And
that lens.
right,
That.
and I worked a lot of that into my earliest, like into the earliest music I would post on the internet, which was flipping like the most random shit you ever heard,
Yeah. Yeah.
st- like things that you're not supposed to flip apparently, and just it was like a game to me, being able to
Yeah.
pull something cool out of that. It was hella rewarding, and over time it definitely caught people's attention, because I think,
Yeah.
maybe it's one of those, like, once someone points it out, you can see it.
Right. He's like, oh, this I should have been there the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Like that
Yeah.
that broken washing machine is actually the craziest perk that you ever
Right.
heard.
And you would never thought. That's
Right.
that's super funny. That's super funny. Do you think your I know you say your process is kind of like everything's kind of streamlined to an effect, but I think from from then I think in talking to a lot of specifically producers, I think those first couple of years you're kind of messing around, and I think the music reflects that because you are kind of bumping into yourself and
Right.
kind of being a little awkward, but it makes it feel really authentic and of the time. And I think as you grow, you refine those styles, and I think especially with design, like I find myself cementing myself into the mistakes I used to make, but kind of coming at them in different ways.
Right.
And I wonder for you if there's maybe anything or any style that maybe you used to tap into that you kind of look back on really fondly that you might like stay away from now because like I should have never yeah, I should have never touched that.
That's a good question. Honestly, I feel like one of the really niche things for me is like the video game flips, because
Yeah.
I'm a big Nintendo head specifically, and
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously, like that whole franchise is filled with amazing music and OSTs and things that I always thought, like, were the ultimate sample material. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think if you love something, don't flip it. Like, that's my producer rule. It was it just never things never turned out how I wanted them to.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like they were never as striking as the original. So,
Yeah.
I sort of started to stray away from like things of nostalgic value,
Mm.
and I think that's when because it was always hard to like reassign a feeling towards something I had already built up such a strong feeling
Mm.
for, like a Zelda
Got you.
OST, for example. There's like
Right.
20 years of compounded nostalgia on
Yeah.
that, and then to rewrite the feeling just didn't really sit right with me. So instead, I kind of diverted my search towards things from the past, but just that were new to me.
Yeah. That's a yeah. I struggle, and this is the part I was talking about, like kind of nerding out on this because I think like I also struggled with specific songs and having some ownership over, you find a song online, you love it, you're like, man, this needs to stay here.
Yep.
And then you're even trying to like see how other people can't find it because I'm just like, I just want to protect this a little bit more
Right.
than everybody else, everybody else should. And I wonder if in that, if have you ever been like sampled that you know of?
So I would say that only really started happening once I would post online
Yeah.
with keys or drums or things, and I would
Got you.
literally ask people to sample me.
Got you. Got you. Got you. Got you. Got
So I hope so.
you. Got you.
But every now and then I'll find someone having sampled something that I didn't put up with the intention of, being sampled.
Right.
And it's visuals and music on
Yeah.
occasion. And that's fun
Oh,
to see.
really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, right. Like I've found my visuals as the background for other people's songs, which
Interesting.
I'm not at a level, and they're usually not at a level where I need to even make a big deal about it.
Take action.
I
Yeah.
try to yeah, I try to see the light and be flattered by it. But it does happen on occasion, usually with like when I post clips of me playing on the piano or chords or something,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I think that the way that I play has actually been really influenced by sampling itself,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that kind of dictates like the pockets that I like to play in, the chords I choose. So if people feel compelled to sample stuff that I make, I think that's a big compliment.
Yeah. Yeah. Full circle compliment,
Right.
man.
Exactly.
I am trying something, as I'm trying to get more into this, the seriousness of this podcast. I love having conversation, but I also gotta have some segments. I want to try this new thing out. So we're just gonna go through these and see based on the question which one was more or less.
Okay.
All right. So did it take more time to create in full muscle memory for 2025 or 2020's Midas?
Muscle memory.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it looked like it.
Do I need to say why as well?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So I think at the time Midas was like it was more of me looking for songs that I felt like could be on
Mm,
a project together, and then
yeah,
filling in the gaps by creating for the project. Muscle Memory was created intentionally as a project,
got you.
so that alone definitely took a lot more time. But I would say
Yeah,
the biggest thing is that one of the things I focused on the most with the new project was something that I wasn't as good at on Midas, which is like arrangements and keeping beats interesting, um, learning layers, flows, all that type of stuff. And so I think the emphasis that I put on that for the new project, it it stretched out the time to complete
yeah,
everything, but for a very worthwhile reason.
yeah. No, yeah. I love that answer. That's a good one. Does it take more time to create something from start to finish? And what DAW do you use? Also, that's another potentially controversial take.
Yeah, right, right. I don't know if I should say it, bro. No,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll blur it out.
I use Ableton. I
Got
used
you,
to
got
use
you.
Logic. Before that, I used GarageBand. But I really have love for all DAWs.
Gosh, yeah, that was safe. That was politician there. I like
Yeah,
that.
diplomat.
Got to clean it up. Yeah, thank you for
Mhm.
for the FL Studio people get at you.
Yeah, right, right.
But yeah, like, is it Blender? Blender seems like a giant of a software to approach, just from my perspective. So I wonder for you, like, which one takes longer?
I would say it's definitely Blender,
Yeah,
and that's more so to me because like I wasn't really, or I guess it's the fact that so many more things are easily manipulated and like within reach, and that comes down to lighting, materials and textures, and just the organization of things in space. And like it's really easy for me to change something from daytime to nighttime, but then trying to decide what makes more sense and then what I need to do if something is in the night
yeah,
versus in the
yeah,
day.
yeah,
Like those, I feel like those little abilities to change big things about your project so quickly, it takes a lot of time to decide.
yeah,
Whereas with music, once you finish a beat, like you could half time it or pitch it down or pitch it up or something, and those do transform the whole thing of what you made. But
right,
there's not really too many more decisions you need to make on top of that once you feel like you're at the point where you're affecting your whole beat, like you're on the
yeah,
master
yeah,
channel at this point.
yeah,
Whereas for me, the even once I export something from Blender, then it's how do I post process this, and it's how do I
yeah,
add audio that makes sense and the seamless loops and the overlays, and it's a pain, bro.
yeah. I can just hear the computer fan going already, bro. I'm just not.
Yeah.
That's just not. It's just not.
You know how some people have the ringing in their ears? I just have the
Yeah,
flipping noise in
just
my brain.
just scared. Bro, I think my computer's bad when I'm running like Premiere and FL and Photoshop at the same time. I can hardly imagine trying to export some on Blender.
Yeah, nah, my dock is a mess, but it's a it's a lifestyle at this point. There's no going back.
Yeah, yeah. Is there? I guess is there ever a time where you would have a moment where it's like a collab, like a session almost with Blender? Is that possible at all to have like people lock in on one thing like that?
That would be. I mean, the closest I've come is probably when I've met up. Like, I'm working on developing some plugins with one of my homies who's a coder,
Right.
and I'm handling visual design, and there'll be
Yeah,
times where we were together, where he was like over my shoulder, and I was confirming different changes with him.
gotcha.
But there's never been a time where I was with someone and they were like, yo, what if we put a plant over there?
Well, let's kick
Or
up.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
If those meetups are happening or if people are doing that, like someone please hit me
I feel
because
like this is already one of my favorite episodes. We started a beef with the drummers. We got Daw Wars and now the
I'm
Blender
searching for Blender
cookups.
cookups.
Yeah, who got it?
Who got it? Who got it? And please
That's
let me know because yeah, it's isolating, bro.
yeah. I can imagine, man, because I think it is like the scale of your work is so incredible, and so to think about how collaborative music can be, and how sometimes necessarily like video editing and organizing files and all the behind the scenes stuff that isn't as like glamorized but it's like a necessary thing in the process.
Yeah.
Like do you ever feel like you like want help in those things? I know you said you're collabing with people, but like how do you in your day to day, I guess when you're not maybe working with the intention of putting something out, how
Yeah.
do you collaborate with other people?
So I would say the visual work to me, like the specific act of creating itself, is definitely a solo endeavor, and
Yeah,
I like that. I honestly love it because like the freedom to make mistakes and try
yeah.
things that you wouldn't try in the presence of others, like that's really what drives your work forward.
Mm,
But one of the most frequent ways that I collaborate is honestly by just like constantly brainstorming and ideating visual ideas with my girlfriend, who is
or
a budding director, an avid film lover, just a general haver of amazing ideas. And we'll like build out a whole movie or a 5-part limited series together for fun off something she brings
fire.
up to me.
Yeah,
And, to me, that's like one of the ways in which I can collaborate visually.
that's
It's
fire.
on the brainstorming part.
Yeah,
And then, there's also been so many times where she's been with me while I was making something in Blender and making suggestions about like atmospheres, colors, things like that. And, they turn out to be great suggestions. So it is possible. Um, but I think for the most part, yeah, it's just such a tedious process that
yeah,
it's tough to involve someone and keep up like an energy or a flow
yeah.
because every time, it's also a lot of rendering, which is just doing nothing. And it's like if you had to bounce your track out of Ableton every time you wanted
Yeah,
to hear it, like no
yeah.
no
It's
space bar,
crazy.
like you got to bounce the whole
That's
thing. Like imagine the session.
yeah. Just like oh, I'm ready.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's
So I
crazy.
think I think that the act of making something in Blender itself almost demands that you are kind of isolated.
Yeah,
Um, but that's another reason to me why it's so cathartic to put things out and share them with
yeah,
people like so casually too,
yeah,
just because that's the only time anyone really even gets let into the process.
yeah, yeah. It is cool also to see like the type of people who are like actively your peers. You know, who are also amazing, like producers, rappers, singers, visual designers. Like it's like everybody's in there, just like in awe of the work. And I think that was one of the coolest things. Was like, oh no, bro, I was watching this tutorial from you, and I remember I downloaded that pack from you. It's like
Right, right.
it's just so cool to see that, and I expect it's cool to kind of feel that love from people whose work is like so inspiring.
Definitely, and it comes in many different forms, but
Yeah.
always something to be grateful for.
All right, these are some of my faves, some recent
Mhm.
joints I want to
Yep.
know which one of these took the most time
That's a
between
good question.
Arms Reach, Be Okay, and then the F1 animations.
Yep. I would say it was probably, probably Arms Reach with Huey.
I make bops and I'm always known to take spots. Niggas flop, now they gotta sell that fake watch. I don't play, never catch me at a GameStop. 100 thieves with me, I can't even get nade shot.
Oh man, thank you. Yeah, it's one of my favorites in a long time. Shout out to BOK with my bro and
Yeah,
the F1.
another
But
crazy one. Yeah,
Arms Reach to me felt like one of the best songs I was ever a part of.
yeah,
Because it was intentional from the start, where I sampled this producer who I've been working with through the internet. I want to say
yeah,
he's the homie at this point just because of how much that we've
yeah,
talked.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Moo Latte is his producer name, and he's a crazy composer. So when he sent me samples and I heard this one, and I eventually made the beat, sent it to Huey, he got back with additional vocals from the homie Wes, who's a singer. And as
Crazy.
I'm sure you know, he came through and he
Yes.
bodied it. And
Yeah.
that was the first time I had also made something like that with Huey.
Word.
Which is like a more traditional song structure,
Yeah.
but it didn't sound like anything either of us had heard or made. And it's just, there's something about it you could just loop for a while. And shout out to Huey because he will just let the beat go at the end. He's not greedy.
Yeah. No, that you give everybody a little. Hey, I took
Exactly.
a lot. You can have some. You feel me?
Exactly. Exactly.
And I think also it was like their video was intentional. Also, like watching the video, how they brought together, it was really cool seeing the marriage of all those things. I think I would be remiss to not mention the drums on BOK.
On a mission to hear you out, it's a lot of sound. Bound to press the line if you catch me shooting. Out of bounds, bound to raise the ceiling. After I bring the roof down, press icons.
I feel like you could retire from that just off that.
Man.
What?
Thank you. I did play those out by hand. And it started off actually as an Instagram video. And
Word.
the homie hit me because he was inspired by the beat, and then that's the rest was history.
That's
But
crazy.
that was like the first time I had tried a pocket which honestly had like a more traditional drum fill.
Yeah.
Like fills is usually where you get exposed on the drum pad.
Right.
Like the minute you try and use toms and rides.
Yeah.
Like, hold on. But something about the way that it sat with that sample chop just worked, and I love that beat too. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. And there's enough space for the vocal also, which is something that I think sometimes like the drums, and I know I've been guilty of that. They compete because you trying to get that feeling, and then it's like they can't even find a way into it. It's funny.
For sure, bro. I'll tell you that's like one of the hardest parts about being a producer. I feel like
Yeah.
I overproduced things for a long time, and like
Yeah.
the pocket, and that was honestly a big part of that was like not working steadily with vocalists, so not really understanding the space they needed,
Yeah.
and usually ending up filling that with something else, and like even that extra shaker on a track
Right.
can eat up valuable space from a vocalist, and they might not even hear an idea just because it's in there. So
Yeah.
learning to open up beats, just create that perfect amount of space. Still working on it, but it's been clicking lately.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and lastly, the F1 selection animations, like it's rare for me to be able to like question so many pieces of somebody's art. As somebody who's a musician and visual designer, this is like very rare. So I want to thank you in the middle of this for this opportunity.
Well, of course.
What in the world were y'all thinking? This is insane. This is like it's so smooth. How did this process come about? How did this collaboration come about? Because this is some of the cleanest animation work I've seen. I'm not even like I just love everything about it. Like what was the process for this?
Man, thank you. Huge shout out to my bro Joe K. He looped me in for this one because he was doing a really dope DJing event in, I think it was Abu Dhabi for F1.
Right.
And obviously, at this point we've been working steadily for a couple of years now.
Right.
Like we definitely have a synergy between the things that we think look dope on stage.
Yeah.
So Joe always taps me in whenever he needs, something special. And this time around they had a design, a 2D design, almost like a stamp or a sticker that he asked me to just bring to life in a subtle way. And it's funny because this is really like it's on the simpler side of what I know how
Yeah.
to do in Blender.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's really all you need is just to strike that balance of
Mm-hmm.
like simple but satisfying. And I think for this one, it was just the colors and the pacing to me, they felt right. Some post processing and resolve, which is something I started doing lately, even on animations, just to give things an extra layer of
Yeah.
uniqueness. Yeah, it was really quick to come together this one, but once I saw it in person, like in the video that's looping there, I kind of understood why
Yeah.
Joe wanted that, why he needed it.
Yeah. 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 Very necessary. Very amazing, man.
Thank you,
I
man.
think this might be the last one. I think this might be the most important though. What would take more time to complete the entirety of Modern Family or paying back your girlfriend for putting you onto Blender?
Well, we've watched all of Modern Family together like 3 times, so
Okay,
there's your
so
answer. Yeah,
this
I'm
is
in big debt, and she
yeah,
knows, and she's knocking at my door.
yeah. This was intervention.
Yeah,
Forgot to this whole setup was just to let you know that there's a lot of money that you need to pay back.
right. She was like,
Yeah,
"Yo, Ian Complex, I need this
yeah.
question."
Gotta lock it in, bro. I gotta do
Yep.
what I gotta do, you know?
No, she's the greatest, and I'm working on it.
Yeah, yeah. We need the ROHO Modern Family collab on something, man. I know they be stepping in doing a bunch of ads every now and then. They be bringing characters back, so I think
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that show. I would have loved to just be an extra in it,
yeah,
like in the background of a single scene. There's something about that show that's just hilarious to me, and just amazing casting, writing. Maybe I'll just
yeah.
flip the theme. I know what I said earlier, but maybe I got to try and flip the theme. It's like
That
a
might
dope
be the way.
big band. Yeah,
That might be the way back in,
to
man.
get somebody's attention.
That's something. But thank you for being part of that new segment we're
Of
trying
course.
out. And just kind of diving right back into, I guess your work. I know that this project is relatively fresh. It's still experiencing it's experiencing itself. It just
Yeah.
came out as existing. It's outside of you now,
Yep.
and it's sitting with other people. I think for me, experiencing the album was very like meditative,
Word.
and I think as somebody who is actively trying to figure out my entry back into producing and back into beat making, I think it kind of reminded me a lot of the rudiments of what it is that I think is important. Like you were saying earlier, just giving yourself space and keeping things exciting,
Yep.
knowing when to end a song and when to when to stretch something.
Right.
And I wonder for you, I know we kind of talked about it, but I want to get into it a little deeper. Like, even at this point, how often are you kind of brushing up on those skills that I think make your music so undeniable?
Well, first of all, thank you, man.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to hear that. And second of all, I think you almost like if you wanna look back at things you made every 2 months and feel like, damn, I'm even further ahead now. You almost have to have like an irrational compulsion just to be making music. And I think that's what I started to develop for sure. Even if it just comes down to like thinking of new patterns
Yeah.
on the push while I'm finger drumming. I'll
Yeah.
do that for like an hour and a half straight, just with me and the click track, just going to war. And I think I think what keeps music fun for me is the fact that I really never know what my next beat is gonna sound like,
Mm.
and it could be any style, BPM, length, feel, whatever. But I always allow that to kind of come to me at the beginning of when I open up a new session.
Yeah.
So I think just like being obsessed with the possibility of making the best beat of your life every time you
Mm.
open the door, that's kind of what drives me. And I think it's got to be it's got to be something you think about or act on like every
Yeah.
single day.
I appreciate that answer because I do think it is something that inside of there's so many reasons for people to refocus on things, whether it's like, okay, this is bringing me some financial gain, or this is maybe more cost effective in the grand scheme of things. It's like I think I always find myself getting like the most excited to speak to producers who also exist in other mediums, and
Mhm.
thrive in other mediums. Because I do think it is a very interesting space. I think it's interesting in the context of today, where I feel like a lot of people didn't have the choice in doing that, and they had to be like, oh, I need to start either editing or become a personality, and so it feels a little different when somebody's like, oh no, this is what I've been trying to do this whole time. Like I've been
Yeah.
trying to keep this together just for my sanity.
Right, right. No, there's definitely an element of like this keeps me sane,
Yeah,
and I think the big question is always like, would you do this if there was no shot of making a living off of it?
exactly,
And if the
exactly.
answer is yes, then you're in a good place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it really does go back to that whenever I'm speaking to anybody about that, because it is like the way that I listen to music feels religious still.
Mhm.
The way that I get excited when I'm like, man, I gotta turn in this new design for a client or something. It's like, oh no, I'm excited to make this pitch deck for you. Like I really love this. So it does feel exciting to turn those things around, and I think for you a question before I get into another thing that I really want to talk to you about. I guess how do you kind of handle like feedback, or do you kind of work inside of that a place where you know your intention, you sit with that, and
Mhm.
you take it to where it needs to go, or is it like outside of your girlfriend? Like, are you bouncing ideas off with like the expectation of like intense critique, or kind of throw something off?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. Like, some people might find it like egotistical to never run your work
Yeah,
by
yeah, yeah, yeah.
anybody, but I really just if I love something I made, is it's greenlit.
Yeah,
And I
gotcha.
never expect anyone to love something I made more than me. So I think
Mm,
that's the number one reason that
mm,
I just need to be a fan of what I created, and
yeah,
it can sit well with me. It'll age well. Obviously, if I'm working on collaborative designs, then feedback is a huge part of that. And
right,
I've done so much freelance design work at this point that I'm not phased.
yeah, yeah,
You cuss me out and tell me you hate my design at this
right.
point, I'll probably get back with like I'm on it.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. It's not personal. Yeah,
yeah, exactly, exactly. It's such a
yeah,
big part of the process that I try to find the light in
yeah,
other people's visions and
yeah.
suggestions in that respect. But when it comes to my own work, yeah, aside from my girlfriend and maybe whoever I happen to have collaborated with, maybe if it's
Hmm.
music, I rely on my brain, and
Yeah,
it's served me well in the past. So I think when the time comes and I start to build things of bigger scales, that's when I'll probably find myself reaching out more to draw
hmm,
critiques from people who are experts in what they do and
yeah,
have experience that I don't have. But for the time being, yeah, it's just me.
yeah. That's I like the
The stand.
standpoint. It's like this is what it is, man.
Right.
I think making a very harsh transition into a topic I think has been very hot this week, especially kind of coming
Already
into this
know.
week.
Already know.
The the kind of back and forth inside of the music industry,
Yeah.
and any other land that has something to do with creativity, with like AI and everything. I put out a video this week, kind of talking about my feelings on everything and
Hmm.
just how things broke down. But I would love to hear kind of what your reaction is to not everything specifically that happened, but I guess kind of the way things are kind of moving inside the industry with AI.
Yeah, I mean it's confusing.
Yeah,
First and foremost, I think because I'm assuming you're in a similar situation, but I myself, I've surrounded myself on purpose with real artists and people who
yeah,
value that above everything else. So,
100%.
like on a macro, all I'm seeing around me, or sorry, on a micro scale, all I'm seeing around me is people who also don't understand the obsession with AI
Hmm.
generated
Hmm.
anything in the art world, and people who are kind of like brushing it off because we know that our tastes and our ability to make music is safe from being
Right,
replicated.
right, right, right.
Then you zoom out a bit and you see all these people who were previously never a part of those conversations. They're seeing access and they're
Yeah,
seeing like a chance to start making things that are a little outside of what their bag previously was, and there's a lot of
yeah,
excitement about it.
yeah,
And I feel like people are ready to toss ethics to the side
Yeah.
when it comes to tech advancement.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's the confusing part is like, are y'all not seeing, like, honestly, why is it so complicated?
It could be a lot simpler. I feel like,
Right.
yeah,
I very much so feel that like art and the act of creating art is too human to be outsourced. And if it
yeah,
is being outsourced, it needs a different name, not just AI
exactly,
generated art.
exactly.
That's not what it is.
That's a great point. 'Cause I do think, and I've had this conversation before. I was like, I think there was an issue, there was a problem with just trying to use the current tool in all that it is and saying it's AI.
Right.
Because there's been implementations of AI since like the 60s and into different stuff, and so that was, I think, part of the initial confusion because everybody was like, okay, this is just more of the same thing. Maybe it's a little more powerful. And then, you kind of, like you said, find out that people are actively using violent language to try and be like, okay, yo, your job is done, bro. Like, you're a
Right.
producer, you're out of here. And I think that's the part I think maybe some people are actively not looking at.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that weird obsession of like, well, so why, once you get an opportunity to like potentially be peers with the creative community, it's like, okay, we're gonna take everything down. We're
Right.
gonna burn it and then kind of control it so we can manage it. And I
Right.
think a lot of language I don't like is just being like, oh, like with AI, like we can't. They can't talk back, or they can't, like that stuff. I'm just like, okay, so what are you, what are you trying to do, bro?
Right. That's a crazy line, which I also want to know, like, did a AI write that script too? Because if it did, there's so many levels of But yeah, I fully agree, bro. And I think it's honestly just like we're living in lazy times, and like, why do we
Yeah,
have to? Or like, is the point of life optimization? Like, it's cool that things take time, and I'll never fold on that sentiment.
it's such a crazy thing that like in some instances that doesn't feel like it's even true, to some people.
Right.
It's like the idea of if 5 years ago I tried to put myself in the position I am now, like it wouldn't make any sense because I needed to fail and try and meet people and be terrible on my timelines and learn like, oh, I can't do that no more. I gotta I gotta schedule myself. I gotta work this calendar. I gotta, go to bed a little earlier, and
Yep.
now I feel like all of that is very quickly done in an application, or it's like, I don't have to do this. I can do this here,
Right.
and I think that's the switch of it where it becomes less of a tool and more of like, this is like a crutch. This is like what I need to
Yep.
transition to here or to get to here.
No, I
Which
think there's a huge distinction is the tool versus the
yeah,
crutch.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And the moment something is a crutch, like in life, honestly, the moment anything is a crutch, you got to be a little wary.
yeah, yeah,
And I think when it comes to generating art specifically, it's it's like it's not even a crutch. It's like you're being given a power that you weren't supposed to have in this movie.
exactly, exactly.
You can earn it, of course. There's no
You're
barrier to
right.
entry, but go through that time.
Yeah, we were 5 minutes into the drawing. How you got
Yeah.
that? How you did that? I don't make no
Bro,
sense.
it's like if Aang knew how to bend everything in episode two.
Then there's
Because
no. He ain't
use
got to
AI.
go nowhere.
Yeah,
Yeah,
imagine.
that's the reboot.
Yeah,
You know.
right. Yeah, but no, and I
Yeah,
think it'll create this. Like it'll create. I hope it raises the value of human-made art.
yeah, yeah,
But to me, it's just honestly like overwhelmingly, it's just annoying that there even has to be a debate around this right now.
yeah, 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 yeah. I think it did just like a lot of the stuff that came out caught a lot of people off guard just
Yeah,
because of the context of like up and coming artists, and we already in a fight with algorithms and different things, different elements, or different stuff, and people kind of yearning for artist development and more access to information. And I think it is a like a daunting time for a lot of people who are like entering the industry at this point,
oh man,
or becoming aware of it. Like there's like a lot of pieces of like when I first was designing, like I didn't know anything about the agency world. And I just
right,
was like, okay, I got to start making album covers, and that's all I got. It was like, oh no, you can. Oh, okay, I could be doing campaigns and do, like, oh, that makes sense that people are doing things, you know. So
Right.
now it's like it feels like all they're seeing is like, okay, you can thug it out and not have a guarantee. We got AI though, so maybe
right, it's an option.
it's an option. You know, it's like all right, this doesn't feel like
No,
the
for sure.
clearest instruction, but
For sure, for sure. And I also think that at the end of the day, like there's a distinct split. Like I hate the fact that people are talking about, do something AI can't generate then.
yeah,
But the smallest grain of truth to that is that you should be wanting to make things that aren't easily replicated by anything at all.
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
so yeah, weird times.
Yeah,
And the opposite of a shout out to Timbo,
yeah.
whatever that
the
is.
back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, man. That hit, man. It just threw me. It just threw me for a loop because I do
Yeah,
think that it does feel like a lot of the people who should be passing along information are getting tied up in these things, like the whole thing. Everybody's selling their masters and doing all these things. Like
yep,
it, not that there's necessarily anything wrong with selling your masters, but I do think with the rise of the quantity of information on the internet, things get muddy, you know. And
yeah,
so now people are like, oh, that's the goal, to sell my masters, or that's the goal, to get a company and sign 30 billion artists and never give anybody a cent. Like
right, right,
that's the only way I can be successful, you know. So I think, like you said, I think people forget that a part of being an artist is to be in this big human community of
right.
people who have been existing and creating for the entirety of time,
Yep,
you know. So
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. And if like if time is valuable, which no one can debate on, things that
exactly.
take more time should be more valuable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Simply.
yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, opposite of the shout out to that for sure. Yeah.
Whatever you call that.
Yeah, whatever that is, it's very poetic. But yeah, man, I think there there is so much, like, again, to be said about this project. Like I do mean it very sincerely. Like I truly I've loved the time that I had to sit with this project, and then going back to your older work has been equally as exciting to kind of see the growth of everything, which again I think is a benefit of creating in public and creating inside a community, because you can be like, hey, I came from there. This
Right.
is where I was. Not necessarily like, oh, this is like hey, this is way different. So like
Yep.
you can kind of follow the signs of where I like this idea, and I fell out with that, and then I did this.
Right. Right.
Um, and yeah, I just like want to kind of know in that kind of inverse if you have any things you're gonna do with this project in the upcoming year, or where you want to take things. And I guess like what does your schedule look like, coming up soon?
Yeah. Well, one of the very first things I want to do, without giving away too much, is just to sell a physical version of my
Mm,
album cover
where
and the bench press on
yeah,
the speaker bench press that is coming. I can't say how soon, but
yeah,
I want
be
people.
patient, yeah,
Yeah, of course. I want people to be able to own, something tangible from the project, especially because it has a visual identity.
yeah.
In addition to that, I think one of the biggest things, like I've always been a big fan of breakdancing, uh,
Mm, mm,
since before I couldn't, and even when I could a little bit, and then when I got
yeah,
old and
yeah,
washed, I definitely couldn't. I still always, it was just like, it captured me.
yeah,
So
yeah,
since I put such a heavy emphasis on rhythm and pocket for this project, and people have told me like it makes them want to move,
for
that
sure,
is
for
one
sure.
thing that I am currently seeking to do, is just to get this project into the hands of people who like to move.
Oh, that's fire.
Capture them doing it, no
Yeah,
matter like what the format is, whether it's a music video or
yeah,
just, a cool thing that happens on the internet. But yeah, I want to get this project into the hands of people who like to move.
yeah. That's beautiful. That going back to the roots, going back to the the
Right,
original
right.
of the
People
genre.
forget how
Yeah,
closely they were tied, but
yeah. That's a random tangent, but that's like I. It's kind of funny how how far
yeah, right,
visually the genre has changed.
right,
Because I feel like people might look at that as, I mean, people are dancing more, I think, in the last couple of years, kind of more proudly, but
right. I won't speak to the quality of the dancing though, because
yeah.
as you know, it's like AI generated dancing. That's what it feels like, just clones and variations. But I definitely, I want to get it into the hands of the people who move because of the music. And
Right,
also, I
right.
feel like, yeah, breakdancers are the first ones dancing to instrumentals.
Yeah.
You know,
That's the whole reason we got the breakbeat. Like that's
exactly.
it's like integral into that, which is funny because I think there is like a, I feel like when I was producing more often, I think there was something inherently telling me like I can't make this beat too slow because I need to be able to dance to it,
Right. Yeah.
which was like the transition when I was like, okay, I'm moving from more of like my gospel roots to,
Hmm.
all right, this is okay, like unlearning things like I can add drums here, or I can not have drums in this song, it's fine,
Right.
so it's just funny kind of seeing that and how much that has changed. Is there any like any genre or any bag that you want to get into that you maybe haven't experimented with since we're on the topic of genres?
Oof. That's a tough question because I feel like at this point I've tried as many things as I know about.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I won't speak to like the quality of what I made, but I've tried. I've been there. I tried to go there.
they did it.
Right. And
Yeah,
of course, then there's always the question of like, sure, like I could try and make a reggae beat or a reggae
yeah,
song without having studied the art and
right,
knowing why I'm doing what I'm doing. It wouldn't feel right. So that
yeah,
obviously, that's like a barrier to entry for me on certain types of
yeah,
music. But as far as what I can create, um, I low key, I do want to get into a little bit more into the world of R&B, but
mm,
in like in a way that retains my favorite parts about music. And
yeah,
that's probably why I'm such a huge fan of Leon Thomas, for example,
yeah,
just because
crazy,
he bridged that gap in a crazy way,
crazy, yeah,
and it feels pretty effortless, but new at the same time.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, very very fresh approach to R&B. I think
right, exactly,
it's like, I think R&B has a tendency to find something new and then kind of stay there for a very long time and just like
right,
stretch it out until it's like, okay, this is all that we have.
right,
Um, but I think he really brought something that felt fresh, familiar, um, and expressive, like you said. It's very effortless at the same time, just because
right,
I think it also helps that like he's coming at it from multiple perspectives. Like writing, producing, arranging, doing
exactly.
all that different stuff. So it's like more involved. But
And I think
um,
that's like a super high level artistry right there. So
yeah,
I'm inspired, and R&B music is also supposed to make people want to move, so you don't have to
yeah. There's
sacrifice.
all these things, man. Like what's happening? Nobody's
Yeah,
moving.
that's what I'm saying.
That's the
Static
problem.
generation.
We got we got we gotta change it, man. But I think I'm trying to end these conversations on a note that has to do with the show. The show is called the Procrastination Radio Show.
Right.
Procrastination, one of my biggest issues still in life. I've
Yep.
come to terms with it, and I wonder for you, and the artist that you are, when you do have time to distract yourself from doing what you're supposed to be doing
Yep.
outside of Modern Family.
You make it sound like that's the only thing I do, bro.
That's your bag, man. That's what I'm about to put as the title. Just
Yeah. After this, season 5, episode 7. Oh man.
turn it off, boom.
You're right. Right.
Um, but what do you do to kind of distract yourself from the things you need to be doing?
I feel like I'm a really habit heavy person.
Yeah,
I love being outside my comfort zone, but I also love my habits. And so,
yeah.
at the end of the day, the things that definitely make me like the activities that make me happy outside of music and art is playing basketball,
Mm,
playing video games. I actually only played 2 video games, which are Super Smash and Mario Kart.
got you,
Um,
got you.
Doing that kept me connected with the homies from
Yeah,
college.
yeah,
Cooking, hanging out with my cat, ideating trying to come up with the next big thing with my girlfriend. We spend a lot of time doing that. Just things that connect me to like the present. Because with music and design, there's always this element of the release date and the this and the that. But definitely, I love doing things that just make me ignore the clock.
Gotcha. That's a great answer, which gives me a more important question. I think if you were to compare your recent album to your Jump Shot, which one's better? Like, what are the breakdowns of, you feel me, what's going on there?
I would say, so is my recent album better than my Jump Shot?
Yeah.
No. Actually, I'm trying to think of the answer that is gonna make someone want to go listen to the project.
Right. Just like,
how bad is the album?
Because then, I got to get some footage of the Jump Shot because it's like one's gonna have to,
right?
I might have to cut it out. You feel me?
Right. Or how good is the Jump Shot?
Yeah.
Nah, I think muscle memory, and the funny thing is, it's muscle memory. So my album's definitely better. The album helped me with the Jump Shot. There's the.
I ain't see rapper in the description, bro.
Yeah, not yet.
What's going on?
Not yet.
What?
You see the link, bro?
What? I ain't know it was like that, dog. My goodness.
Everything's related.
Yeah, it's everything. this is the begin. It's one of those episodes where it's loop.
Yeah,
exactly.
The start
and the finish.
Yep, I love a perfect loop, bro.
It's just a perfect loop, man. But thank you for taking the time to sit down and talk, man. I really appreciate it again. Really, truly a big fan of your work. Very apologetic to your computer and the stress that it is going through. Sending thoughts and prayers to that fan, man. And yeah, is there anything else you want to shout out? Anything you want to say, communicate to the people watching wherever they're watching from?
Well, in addition to the obvious, please go check out my work if you're curious. The other thing I would say is, this is trying times for artists, but make things you love, make things you're inspired by. Everything will fall into place. And I appreciate you, bro. This was a great conversation.
Definitely, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. No, for sure. Got to hit you about the Jump Shot. We got to figure a lot of things out, man.
Please. I'll link the video.
We got
Thank you, man.
This is going to be a super cut of the mixtape, man.
Exactly.
Got you. All right. Everybody, wherever you are, if it's day, night, evening, stop procrastinating. Your dreams are waiting for you. Go get after them. Peace.